Well, hello all. Welcome to Chillin With Chronically Happy. I'm not so happy at the moment, but underneath it all, I'm happy. But right now, I haven't started a grieving process, and I had a feeling this would probably make it to this point at some point in my life. And I've had to say goodbye to so many friendships for a lot of the same kind of reasons. It's because of the other person. I mean, I'm not always the victim. I'm not to blame either. I kind of woke up and thought I'm going to end this friendship today. The more I kept thinking about things, I'm like, I'm just not okay with the way this friendship is. I shouldn't have to lie to keep a friend, and ultimately that's what I was going to have to do. And I don't want to lie to keep. I don't want to lie to kick it, dude. I want to be myself. And I started going through withdrawals because I keep forgetting about my medicine. But I'm so tired of losing friends but you know what? They're unhappy people and they will drag you down with them. They are the ones that are unhappy. And for this person to always hold this over my head about being on pain medicine, this medication that I'm on is not. Yes, it changes things in your body. Yes, it makes you have a new flat line. I mean, she was true to that. But what isn't true is the way she came at me in a very defensive, upset manner. Because the moment I bring up something as an example, um, because I haven't felt comfortable with them driving at certain times either. But for her to come back and kind of be a hypocrite to her own words, because there's one time ingrained in my friend's head that she saw me at Michael's and I barely recognized her. But what really was going on is I had just gotten a concussion. Maybe I should not have been driving. Maybe she's right. Maybe I shouldn't have been driving that day, but it wasn't because of my pain medication. It was because I was keeping myself out for so long that day. I was out of spoons. I was chronically fatigued. I had been just concussed a few days prior. So my speech was slow because of my concussion. I may have also been on some anxiety meds, but she said that my speech was slow and I barely recognized her. And so, yes, I had a concussion. Concussions does that to people, okay? It messes with your speech and slurring and but also at that point in time, a lot of other things was happening in my life. Like, I was going through it at that point in my life. Like, it wasn't the pain meds that she was seeing. She was seeing a depleted version of me that was concussed. But she's blaming it on my pain medication. And then she's trying to say that there's been so many occasions that her and her husband have said that they didn't want me to leave. And I'm trying to wrap my brain. I'm like, how many times did they tell me to get an Uber to drive? I don't ever recall, because every time I partied with them, they were the ones that drove. And the one time she asked to drive my vehicle up, she wanted her husband to drive my vehicle up there because she doesn't trust my driving, because she saw me in the store concussed, out of spoons, slurring my speech with a concussion. Okay. So this was like several months later. And my concussion was in October. This was December. We were supposed to go up to this party together, and well, they didn't go because they didn't want to pay for the Uber by themselves. But they didn't want me driving, even though I wasn't under the influence of any party drugs, which they were going to be. And I did not want them driving after partying. I don't care who you are. I am not going to let somebody under the influence of party drugs drive my vehicle, knowing full well that they would have been taking them. No. No, dude. It's a matter of principle. And her husband even was angry that she asked to drive my car. And so they didn't even go to that party with me. They ended up selling the ticket to one of my other friends, and her and I had a great time. And you know what? I wasn't under the influence of any meds or any party drugs because I don't do that and drive. But her husband has multiple times, and I've ridden in the car with them when I shouldn't have. And there was another time that they forced me out of their house when I was not capable of driving. And I will never forget that day because I was scared to death driving home, and they forced me home because their mother was there and I couldn't come back to their house with them. And so they forced me to drive under the influence like that. I was so pissed about it too. Yeah. They're not those good of friends. If they cared, they would never have kicked me out that day and made me drive under the influence. And so I stopped doing that thing because I can't take pain meds and do that kind of stuff. And they are so high and mighty and so proud of themselves for not driving under the influence of that anything. And so the one time that she saw me out and about and I had a concussion, she is holding that in her brain as that is because of the pain meds that I'm on. And she said her and her husband tried to sit me down one day to explain how concerned they were of me because it's a hard medication to get off of. If I'm ever to get off of it anyways in my entire life, I don't know if I ever will be able to, honestly. And unless we can get to the root of my spinal cord issues, I don't know if I'll ever get off of it, honestly, you know? But you know what? I have a quality of life. I don't feel the effects of anything. Because yes, once your body becomes dependent on something, it's like with anything, like with gabapentin or antidepressants, it takes some time for your body to get used to it. And so yes, once it's used to it, then yeah, when you don't have it, you're going to have withdrawal symptoms, no matter what kind of medication it is. SSRIs, benzodiazepines, opioids, you name it. Gabapentin's not even any of that, but it has a black box warning. You shouldn't drive under the effects of antidepressants either. But how many people are on the road driving on antidepressants? Probably the majority of Americans. But they are holding this medication over my head and they are not allowing me to drive anywhere. This all started because they invited me to Easter church Sunday, and I was actually kind of excited to go. I was willing to go. But last night I got triggered so bad by her reminding me of her boundary of not allowing me to drive anywhere to meet up with her and her husband because she doesn't want it on her conscience. If something were to happen with me driving and she asked me to come somewhere to meet her, she would feel responsible for something happening to me. And it's not. She is taking on the responsibility on her own. That is not on me. That is on her. It's her judgment. It's her bias. It was suggested to me, that maybe I should just lie and say I'm not on it anymore. But you know what? I'm not that kind of person, dude. I cannot lie. I cannot lie like that. I want people to accept me for who I am. And that day that she keeps holding over my head had nothing to do with my medication. That she is convinced that it was the medication that made me slur my speech that day. I was so exhausted, dude. And so she's holding the concussion over my head and not the pain medication, and she's completely wrong about that. And she just came at me saying that I'm trying to play the victim and I'm trying to do tit for tat. And if there's a problem about something, why don't I address it? And I have addressed it once before. So she doesn't remember it in the heat of the moment, dude, because she's upset. She's mad. She doesn't like being told that, hey, guess what? I'm not even on that dose of medication that I was on back that day when I was at Michael's when you ran into me. You know how many times I've had to drive because I don't have a caretaker? But if I don't feel like I can drive, I typically don't. Unless I am somehow forced in some kind of way to have to drive. And I'm not going to be happy about it, but you know, there's doctors I have to go to, there's places I have to be, and there isn't always somebody available all the time. And what can I do? I've been denied by the state and by the VA for a caretaker. I need to have a way to drive. And I may get to the point where I just can't drive anymore because of my physical disabilities. But it's not because of any medication I'm on. I hate it when people just don't know, but they're not willing to listen and hear it either. Shoot, no matter what I would have said, she still would have been throwing things in my face. And there's, I'm, I'm just going to give it up. I'm just going to say goodbye because I'm not fighting for something that is toxic. And there's a reason she doesn't have any friends because she does have judgments. And it sucks because the day that she's holding over my head wasn't even about my pain medication. I don't approve of some of the things they do, but I don't put boundaries on the relationship, the friendship. But I just unfriended her on Facebook. I didn't see a way to block her either. I still don't see a way to block her. I want to block her. I'm going to have to do my special settings and block her from being able to see anything about my life. She doesn't deserve to see anything about my life anymore. Unless she comes to YouTube to see this video. But I'm not mentioning names, of course, because I'm keeping that private. But I've got receipts. And she says I'm trying to be manipulative with my sentences. And I'm like, I'm just trying to express how you made me feel. And when I expressed how it made me feel, judged and you know, she just threw it all in my face. Just like so many other people have before. There's people that are just so miserable in their own lives that they just cannot be open-minded. They cannot There's certainly nothing I can do to change her mind about it. It's some very core, strong value of hers, a holier than thou. Everybody strives for some kind of perfection that doesn't even exist. Nothing is perfect in life. Come on. Let's be freaking for real, dude. Nothing is perfect, dude. Nothing. Life is not fair either, and that's okay. She's trying to say that I'm like invalidating everybody else's pain, and I'm like, honestly, no. I actually acknowledge other people's pain, and and I acknowledged hers, and I said, yeah, that stuff is painful, and because you do keep things private, I don't know exactly everything that's going on, but you don't owe me any explanations about it either. It's up to you if you want to share it with me or not, but you don't have to. But she shared it with me that she has POTS, and yeah, I fully have suspected she has all kinds of things for a long time. She actually has a lot of similar kind of illnesses I have now since she had COVID. So she has mast cell activation. She has POTS. I mean, there's so many things that she hasn't said that I already know, that it takes one to know one. But she's not ready. She's not ready to accept any of it. She's not willing to accept the things that she has to change in her life in order to get the results that she wants. She's not ready. She's not grounded. She's not healed like she says she's getting healed through church and through God. I mean, believe what you want to believe. And, I full on believe that she believes herself. So, I mean, I'm glad that she's confident in that, God is helping her get through the tough times, whatever anybody needs to get through. And it's God for her. And that's totally valid. And I was not trying to invalidate any of it. Like I said, I was willing to go with them. And she thought that, but she also thought if I went to church with them, that maybe I could finally see the light and I could get off pain meds, and, we can finally be friends again, and I might be able to drive again someday and come see them. It's such unrealistic goals. And since I'll probably never be off of these meds, there will always be this hanging over my head about that day she saw me slur my words in the store. Because I was concussed. It's like, are you even listening to yourself? Are you even listening to, like, are you reading what you're writing me? I've had so many breakups through text message. And she's like, when people start accusing me of being any certain way, like being manipulative or playing victim or playing tit for tat, all I'm doing is I'm being honest and expressing my feelings. Whether they think my feelings are valid or not, that's not for them to decide. But she accused me of being upset and that she's like had enough and she's gonna rest with her family. She had to have the final word. I'm not one of those petty people that have to say the final word. But I did say my final word, and I didn't get a chance to block her before she sent her damn long text message too. I really wanted to be the one to block her before she sent that. Saying I'll always care about you and blah blah blah. Well, I have no reason to never talk to you again. Well, I do. Because I'm not going to allow you to judge me, and I'm not going to allow you to no longer be in my life, because I don't want you to hold that over my head. If you ever watch my YouTube videos and you're seeing this video, you know who you are. But I am not allowing you access to me anymore unless you watch this channel. And I doubt she does. She doesn't support me in that way, I don't think. I'd be really surprised if you are watching. But if you are, it's because of my damn concussion, and it was because of a lot of other external factors and not my pain medication. I'm on pain medication now. Am I slurring my words? Probably to her, yeah. She probably thought I was like texting all this stuff to her, even though I was texting. You know, I was texting pretty fast, so I'm not always seeing what autocorrect does to my damn words. ADHD too, but I am grieving the loss of this friendship because I have to cut it out, because I'm not going to allow anyone to hold anything over my head like that. Oh, hi, Stormy. Well, at least I have something to talk about at therapy on Monday. So we can talk about grieving and loss again. But I cannot keep people in my life that are going to tear me down. That's why I also don't allow negative comments on here. But I am going to start, doing reactions to some of my comments if they are unruly. I gotta start doing some reaction videos, man. I also have some unboxing videos to do today with some iHeartRage stuff. There on the floor, I got my packages right there. But I really needed to talk about my feelings and talk about my grief at the moment, because I'm just really trying to process it all. Sucks saying goodbye to people. I mean, they're the reason I started raving to begin with. But yeah, there's no more partying with me with them. Hopefully she can reread those messages over and over again and see where she might have gone wrong, why I had to say goodbye. I just want to go back to sleep for a little while today. It's just not a healthy friendship to have. Even though it's hard to say goodbye. It's never easy saying goodbye to anybody. But I'm glad we had the friendship we had for the time that we had it. Until she judged me. Because of a concussion. And because I told her what medication I'm on, I should never have told her. Some of her core values are just jacked up. She allows it with some people, and other people she has to feel like she's better than them. She said it herself, that her and her husband are better than me, because they were just talking about at this point how proud they are of themselves for not doing any substances and driving. They're such godly great people because they don't do that anymore. You go on your mighty high horse, friend. You go out on that horse. Bye. Screenshotting the freaking. If you Google the dangers of driving on pain patches, of course it's going to show you everything negative in the book. Are you ever going to look up anything positive about it? No, dude, because that's not going to complete your narrative. Come on. It's confirmation bias at its finest. And of course you're going to find what you're looking for when you type that in. Of course you're going to see everything that says not to do. Are you going to take antidepressants and not drive because it makes you drowsy? Until you get it used to your system? Other medications that make some people drowsy doesn't make others drowsy because of ADHD. Do I slur my words at times? Yes. I have brain issues, dude. My brain's being squished with Chiari. Of course I have things wrong with my brain and speech at times. Especially after a concussion. I am so hung up on that. Because she is so hung up on that. That one freaking day. How many times did they say never drive? I don't recall them ever stopping me from driving. Not once. Until I told them I was on this medication. And then she saw me in the store that one day after I was concussed. She's going to hold that over my head till the day she was gone. And so I'm not going to worry about that friendship anymore. But I'm going to properly grieve. And I'm going to, like, I don't know, plant a flower or something to try and think about the healing from this experience. Because I'm always going to learn something from somebody. And the takeaway, you know. I open up too much to her that had specific judgments about things that I wasn't aware of. But I am now aware of those judgments, and I can now make an educated decision on whether to move forward with the friendship or not, and I'm just not. It's not healthy to have those kind of boundaries. I mean, it's healthy to have boundaries, yes, and that's something that, you know, she has to deal with. That's not on me. And she's trying to blame the whole thing on me. And yeah, I understand where she's coming from, but she's just not trying. She's not trying to understand where I'm coming from. That's the difference. I am trying, whereas she's trying to put blame somewhere, and I am just expressing how I felt, and she's trying to blame and say that one of us is doing something and the other. I hate it when people try to tell me I'm doing something that I'm not doing. Or maybe I'm just slow in the brain. Maybe I don't understand what I'm doing. Maybe I don't know what manipulation is, but I don't feel like I was being manipulative. So, you know, I do try to take screenshots of my conversations with people so I can ask other people's opinion and be like, hey, is this manipulative? Like, am I truly what she's saying that I'm doing? Like, I doubt myself a lot of the time when I have conversations like this. I doubt myself nonstop, and that is not any way to feel. You should never have a friend make you feel doubtful of what your intent is behind what you're saying. And she was trying to put intent where it was not for me. And so I feel misunderstood all the time because it's never my intent to do anything of the sort of like playing victim or, you know, all I can do is just repeat what I say. Like, I'm just expressing how I feel from the situation, and that is my truth. and you cannot take my truth away from me. You can label my truth whatever you want to label it as, but I don't agree, because that's not the intent behind what I'm saying. My only intent was to express how I felt, how it made me feel, and it's not a positive feeling, so she did not take it as such. I don't know. I'm trying to be as private as I can about who it is and their name. I'm not saying any of that, but it sucks. Doesn't matter the name or who, but it sucks to have cruel words hurled at me, or, putting intentions there that are not really mine. It's their perception of how they perceive things. And I'm not anyone to tell her what her intent is. But I never hurl anything at anybody. She gave me an example, and I returned with an example. That's where she said, "You can play tit for tat, blah 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 blah," and I'm like, and then she's like, "If you have a problem with something, address it." I'm like, "Well, I guess the time is a terrible time to tell you how I feel about something, but this is how I feel about this." And then of course she had to think about something else to say about it. Defensively, of course. But I wasn't doing it for a tit for tat. That wasn't my intent. She told me if I have a problem with something to address it, so I did. And then I get told that I'm just trying to be mean and come up with an example just to hurt her, or I guess. I don't know. I wasn't saying it to hurt her. I was telling her how I felt about something, and it was my opinion. Sleeping for 4 hours, that was her excuse that justifies driving under the influence. We slept for 4 hours. Okay, but yeah, that's just in your system a lot longer than 4 hours. A lot longer. I know what it's like to get like only 4 hours of a nap, and you're not even really sleeping because it keeps your mind going. And so it's not restful sleep that you're getting. And so you really did not sleep it off. But you can get offended all you want, because the fact is, yes, you're defending your husband for driving after a 4 hour nap, but it still doesn't negate the fact that you still drove under the influence yourself. So if you want to hurl things at me saying that I was driving under the influence, well, you could say it's tit for tat, because you were also doing the same. So what makes you guys better than me, for one example? I could have thrown more at her, but I wasn't going to, because that's not. I didn't feel like there was a need for that. And then she miraculously came up with multiple occasions of, she said, "There's multiple times we told you not to drive, and you did." But I'm still trying to recall when any of those times were, because I wouldn't leave until like 5 o'clock the next day after partying with them. I don't understand. They've not once told me to take an Uber home after staying a complete night and sleeping like a good 8 hours, and then still hanging out for 6 hours after sleeping for 8 hours. I really want to know when they were talking about this Uber thing, besides this one time that they ended up not going because they didn't want to pay for the Uber. Or how about this other time we decided to do some party stuff downtown Salem, and then still drove like an hour or two after that while still under the influence. But let's not talk about that instance. Yes, I've made mistakes. We all do. And thank God, praying here, like, thank God that nothing happened because of that incident. But I can count on multiple times that they have driven under the influence where I did not feel comfortable with them doing it. And yeah, the Salem thing, it wasn't that far, but still, I do not condone. Disclaimer: I do not condone under the influence of anything in driving. Okay, I do not condone it either. Like, she's right to have that boundary, but she's such a hypocrite because she allows her husband to do it, but she won't allow a friend to do it because her husband and her are better than me, essentially. But essentially, it's the medication that I'm on. That's the name of the medication that I'm on. It's the name of it. The name of my medication that I'm on daily, all day long, to be able to prevent my pain, but still allows pain. And I don't slur my words on it. I slur my words when I get tired and I've been out all day and I have no spoons and I'm exhausted and I'm tired, or I've been zoning out staring at something for like an hour to 2 hours and I'm just out of it. Those are the times that I would be, yeah. Probably not the best time to drive either, but I gotta get home. you know? Sleep deprivation is just as bad, if not worse, as being under the influence of anything as well. So, I mean, if you really want to play tit for tat, I mean, we could go back and forth all day long about different scenarios, but I really didn't want to do that. I didn't want to do that. She told me to address a problem if I had it, and I addressed it, and then it pissed her off. So I'm not allowed to express my feelings towards her boundary, and I'm not able to express things without being a victim, I guess. I guess that's what I'm doing. I guess I'm manipulating her in that way. No, I'm not. So yeah, today I'm just grieving. I didn't get much sleep. I'm pale. You can see it in my face. I'm pale. I didn't sleep that good because I went to sleep kind of upset about it. I almost started a fight with her last night. I waited until today, until after I got some sleep, after I was putting together a puzzle, after, I mean, it's noon right now. And I went to bed at like 4 a.m. 4 a.m. And I woke up at like 8. I'm ready for a nap. I haven't even taken my morning medication yet, guys. Like, I need to take my medication. For real, for real. There's my thyroid meds. I am just 2 days away from 2 weeks out from my surgery, guys. I'm losing a little bit of scab here and there from my incision each day. So my incision's looking good. Today is day number 13 post-op. Day 13. I am not going to end my video on a bad note, guys. Rest assured. I am still chronically happy, but I will be going through phases of grief all day today. I will be crying again here pretty soon, probably, because I'm going to go talk to my mom. And I honestly should save it for my therapist. I really shouldn't bother my mom about it, but, I do. I do need a hug, man. I'm sad about it. But it was inevitable because of her holding that over my head. One day at Michael's, I was concussed. Is the thing that is between our friendship, and that the name of the medication. It's a barrier to our friendship, and I was almost willing to lie to her, but I'm like, you know what, that goes against all my morals and everything that I am. I am honest, and I am authentic, and I am real about my experiences. I don't condone a lot of what I've done, you know. I have done some things that I wish I had never had done. But thank God, prayed, thank God, knocking on wood, you know, nothing has ever happened at any of those times that I was uncomfortable driving, that I was kind of forced to. I thank God every day that I'm still alive, that I'm still here to be able to try and help inspire you guys to keep going, no matter what. I'm trying to stay alive, guys. I'm not trying to leave Earth too early here. I took a film at 3:30 in the morning, and I didn't take my first one until 11:30 today. 11:30 a.m. film. I took thyroid pill at 12:30 p.m. Thyroid, and then I need to take at 1:30. I need to take my regular meds. No, and I'm not even tempted. I actually do want to like learn how to cope with my feelings rather than numbing them these days. You know, and honestly, I'll probably never go back to doing any party drugs. My health is more important to me, and I enjoy going to festivals and shows without substances. There's too many people that lose their lives because of it, or because leaving a show and other people are drunk and driving, and it's just not safe, guys. I do not condone being under the influence of anything and driving. You know, if you don't feel, even, okay, some people have a false sense of judgment of being able to drive, and they shouldn't be. I mean, I've seen it firsthand. I know I've done it firsthand, but I've been on this medication for so long. It's like 3 years now. And I'm actually trying to go back down my dosage. And I'm doing really well. Like, I'm doing really well. Like, talking to my doctors, they're so proud of me. And you know, for my ex friend that I just broke up with, to try to bring me down just really bums me out. You know, she's putting me down below her because she's higher and mightier than I am because they haven't driven for 2 years under any substances. I mean, good on them. I mean, seriously, like, I'm glad that they haven't. Like, I'm proud of them for that, too. So I will give her that. I'll give her that. I am proud of them for not doing that. So that is, I always like to try and kill with kindness. Kill with kindness. That is my motto, one of my mottos. Seriously. No matter how mean somebody is towards me, the only thing I can say is, hey, I'm just expressing my feelings. This is how I feel. This is my opinion. We don't have to agree upon things. Um, but I have a major problem with that boundary she set because it's unrealistic. And there's no need. My mom harps on me enough about being under any influence of any medication and driving. My mom will stop me. Like, she stops me if and she will offer to take me if I need to go, if that's the case. But if she didn't feel confident about it, so basically my friend doesn't trust my mom or dad's judgment about me driving under the medication I'm on. So she's basically not trusting anybody's word for it. She's only trusting what she saw with her own two eyes when I was concussed out in public and in the wild. Maybe if I ever see her out in the wild again, maybe I'll start slurring just to give her something to talk about because she's so miserable with her life. I don't know, but I don't know what I'll do honestly if I see her. I don't know what I'll do. I'll probably just be kind, or I might just ignore her. I don't know. It just depends on where I'm at in my grieving process at the time. That will determine how I respond. But I want to say that I try to end things with grace and have humility, and I take what they say to consideration. But yeah, it's just her and I just don't agree on that, the driving thing. All right, so I haven't even taken. So let's see here. I took 0 Dilaudid yesterday. 0. I even cut them down into little teeny pieces because as I'm going to start trying to come down on my half a film of my buprenorphine, because I'm doing half films. Before surgery, I was only taking half of this size. So my goal is to get back to that, which was pre-op. So I'm trying to wean down to a quarter. So if I can go another full day today without any Dilaudid, I will try to cut down to a quarter tomorrow. If I need Dilaudid for the breakthrough until my body's used to the lesser pain med, and then I can, I'm only taking half a Dilaudid at this point anyways, But if I need it for breakthrough pain as I'm weaning down on this other one, at least I have it. And I am so thankful that I'm doing this slow and responsibly. And I'm not going to let her words continue to sting me anymore. But it was pretty damn hurtful. It always is when I end a friendship. It's pretty hurtful the way people respond to me when a friendship ends. And I always say I love you and I will always care about you and I cherished what we had. That's how I end every friendship. That's every time I that's the last thing I always say to them is I love you and I cherish our friendship that we had. Because I don't believe in saying mean things to people or accusing people of ill intent. And that's what people go to the majority of the time. I just don't understand people. I'd rather just be friends with my dog more and more, but even my dog is too much for me. So I can't even say I'm a dog person. I'm more of a cat person. They're independent and they're sassy like me. I'm sassy. So doing my usual pigtail style today. I need to change clothes. Maybe I can get my mom has done a lot of yard work today. I need to give her some slack. But dang it, I need help. I wish I could get paid for being my caretaker. I wish I could get a caretaker so bad. I need help bathing now. I'm on an old granny stool. I'm disabled, man. And there is no joke about that. I am disabled. And how can I still go out and do things? All in due time. I just learn how to push through. And no matter how tough life can be, physically or mentally, life goes on. And that's the thing that will always happen. Life will always continue to move forward. And it's up to you to whether you are stuck in the present past or stuck worrying about too much of the future. It's all about the fine balance of life, guys. Find your balance. Because life is like this. It's full of ups and downs and all arounds. Just be kind to each other. That's all I try to be and preach. Be kind. And be mindful what other people might be going through. Because you never know. Peace out.